Okay.
He has been a very busy man of late, between Wolverhampton and Plains and Maidan, and he's got another ride before he's back on a plane. But there you go, you've had your two, haven't you? And you wanted to have a winner, and there you go, Ben Curtis. Many congratulations, simple as that. What a lovely ride, lovely performance from the horse.
Yeah, well, you were bullish on him before the race, so that gave me loads of confidence. But
he doesn't mean that.
No, I do, definitely. Listen, my two rides ran really well, and that lad just, listen, he's improving with every run. It's unbelievable. I thought the last day was his best ever run, and the way he travelled through that, he's bettered it again today.
I've not seen him in the before a race before, even though he's been in the UK some time. But he gives you something to think about, doesn't he? But you don't worry about that.
No, he's a handful. It's probably a good thing, because if he wasn't a handful, they wouldn't have flown me out to ride him. They would have just put someone on him if he was straightforward. So it's probably a good thing that he is, but he does everything that a horse should do to get himself beat, and he still keeps winning. So yeah, he must have a big engine.
When you say that, and when actually Chris was even saying before he came on afterwards, he did everything to get himself beat. What is it he does during the race that sort of doesn't help you, if you like?
It's not even in the race. It's in the prelims. He gets very warm, but he's a Clodoville. I mean, they're notorious for it, and he just acts the maggot a bit before the race. Gets very hot and sweaty, but it doesn't seem to affect him in a race. He ran a bit fresh for the first 2 furlongs, a bit keen and a bit in my hands, but once he got into a rhythm, I was delighted going down the back where I was. And like I said, when I swung into the straight, he picked them up well and kept going all the way to the line.
And I mean, the time is phenomenal. So I guess your reflection on that performance and the ground out there, it's tight enough, is it?
Yeah, listen, I think the ground is just good ground. There's still a little bit of juice left in it, but I think it was a good performance. We quickened up well from the 2-pole and sustained it all the way to the line. So it rode a good race, and the times back it up.
The target was apparently in a couple of weeks, but there you go, you won that. So hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Hopefully, they might fly me out again now.
They should. We'll vote for that. Well done, Ben.
Brilliant. Cheers.
So correct weight is there, correct weight and all clear, equalling the track record there. Super performance by the winner, Certain Lad. So correct weight, all clear on our third race.
Good job with the little bastard out.
The Zabeel turf, sponsored by Riviera One, has been taken by Certain Lad, another UK raider. winning a good handicap out here, and great to see as well. We'll meet the team very shortly to make the presentation for the Zabeel Turf, sponsored by Riviera One. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Farhad Azizi, who is the CEO at Azizi Developments. Thank you to him and to Azizi for their sponsorship this evening. He'll be presenting 3 awards. First of all, please welcome to the stage, heard from him already, the winning owner, Chris Hurst. He's accompanied by John Kilbride and also Marko Radojevic, aka Steve. Well done to them. And Chris absolutely delighted with that. Many congratulations. All smiles from the team there, well, in particular to Chris, you can see there, left his shot. Now please welcome to the stage, heard from him before the race, representing trainer Nick Shannon. Please welcome to the stage assistant trainer Jack Shannon. And we heard from this man before racing. Put your hands together. 1 from 2 this evening. Both horses ran well. Ben Curtis. Once more then, as they all come together for their big group photo. In you get, gang. All together, put your hands together, winning connections of Certain Lad.
Thank you.
That left hand galloping track is not even hold.
Couldn't have worked out any better for me.
It is time for the feature. The fillies are going to come out now, so we'll start with number 1, Hatea. Good to see Jim Boyle is out here with Pat Cosgrave, knows this filly well, and she has form with Dubai Blue here, and she was last seen at Bro Park in Sweden. First go for 116. She looked well, actually, and looking forward to seeing how she gets on here in this Cape Verde. She's got a nice weight swing with Dubai Blue, which should stand her in decent stead. Number 2 alongside us is Nisreen. Quick look at that daughter of Ravens Pass for Hiru Shimizu. Pierre-Charles Boudot rides. Good to have him out here in Meydan. She's progressive. She's got a nice bit of form coming into this. Just drop back and pick up number 5. Want to see Marmora, who is right alongside us now. She is here for Simon Crisford. We heard from Ed a bit. She's got a good bit of form as well, and she was behind Apollina. That was out at Bro Park when finishing ahead of Hatea when last seen. Again, obviously it's her first go since then, and interesting to see how she's campaigned out here, perhaps with the Balanchine in mind. Number 6 Surrounding, right alongside us here for Mick Halford. She's the highest rated filly in the race. This is her first go for about 3 months or so. She's won her last 3 contests against fillies, and she just came on start the last time she raced against the boys, but she's got a good bit of form. She may well improve for it. We'll see how she gets on here. And number 8 is the last one, just going out alongside us. Again, you might just be able to see she's hooded just going down the tunnel. She's got that hood on in front of her, but she'll have that whipped off very shortly. In fact, Beyond Reason, who's in front of her, I can tell you, also has that hood on. Both different trainers, both carry the Godolphin Blue. Right, there they are, making their way out down towards the paddock.
On parade here for the Cape Verde, sponsored by Creek Views, and horse number 1 is Hatea. James Boyle and Pat Cosgrave, the combination. Getting its first run there here in the UAE. Overall form was pretty good. A bit tight for room in its most recent start. Prior to that, had been racing well on the turf and the all-weather in the UK. So it's been placed at its last couple of starts, Hatea, and has landed at gate number 1 here for tonight's Cape Verde. Nisreen is horse number 2, Hiru Shimizu, and Pierre-Charles Boudot, the combination. Nisreen, coming from France, has won 2 starts after an 11-month layoff. Certainly the distance looks to be in its wheelhouse. 4 starts for 3 wins and a placing. Number 3 is Magic Lily, Charlie Appleby and James Doyle, the combination. Very impressive at its opening start back in September of 2017. Only had the 2 race starts and then was off the scene for 2 years. Fairly encouraging at its 2 runs towards the end of 2019. Went to France and got a little bit keen and ran second, and then sat in the breeze and faded at its most recent start on the all-weather at Lingfield. Looks to be a highly promising mare as it is now, Magic Lily, and this will be start number 5 only. Number 4 is Perolina, Kadir Beltaki and Selim Kaya, the combination. Second time we've seen it here at Meydan. Last year it finished 5, 3 and 13 from its 3 starts. That third was in the Balanchine, beaten only 3.5 lengths behind Poetic Charm. Has won 4 of 7 and placed a couple of times since that run. Finished 5th in this race last year, Perolina, for Turkey. Number 5 is Marmora, Simon Crisford and Macau Barcelona. Overall form has been pretty good. Went across to Sweden. We're finishing second as recent start, or its most recent start in September. Prior to that, it was a winner at Chelmsford on the all-weather when leading all the way. And prior to that, it was a winner coming from a fair way back and running on really strongly at the end. It's won 3 of his last 5, Marmora. Going to number 6 now, Surrounding. Ronan Whelan takes the ride here for Michael Helford. Coming from Ireland, Shatterall is on. Had a really good resume in 2019, had 9 starts for 4 wins, 2 seconds and 2 thirds. Was jogging the run at Dundalk when winning over the 1600 metres last time out. And his prior win at Galway on the turf was in front of the top of the straight and fought on really strongly. Great record at the 1600 metres, a 4-time winner. Number 7 is Beyond Reason for Charlie Appleby and William Buick, sporting a red cap. Last time out at Goodwood, it led and faded. Right about to finish 4th when on the speed and just dropping off in the late stages. Was a French Group 2 and 3 winner as a 2-year-old in 2018, both over 1400 metres. And number 8 is Dubai Blue for Saeed Bin Sarur. Christophe Simeon taking the ride here. Generally he's had quite a few gaps in his racing. But has a really good record on the all-weather, winning his last 2 on the all-weather back home. Never in the hunt, 2 starts ago on the turf at York in a strong race. But his wins have been pretty big when it's been able to score on the all-weather his last 2 starts. And 2 from 2 at the 1600 metres. Good line-up, only a small field, but a very, very interesting race. The fillies and mares here for the Cape Verde, sponsored by Creek Views.
Mick Alford is alongside me. Saw Simsea run well in our recent race, and let's start with Surrounding here if we can. She's got some good form, hasn't she, particularly against those fillies?
She has indeed, yeah. Her form is very solid, and we're very happy with her since she came out.
When was the decision made to come out here, and I suppose the Cape Verde and perhaps the Balanchine lend themselves to an obvious campaign? When did you have that in mind to come out here, Mick?
I had it in my head for the last year, whether if I thought she was good enough. But no, all through last year, the way she was improving, and she has a love for good ground and that, so it's been in the back of my head for a long time.
Yeah, I saw you said after last time that you thought it would really suit her out here. I mean, what is it in particular? You've got a great record of bringing horses out here to compete and to win. What is it about here you think will really suit her?
Yeah, she loves the sun, and she'd enjoy the good ground and the style of racing. So I think she's ticks a lot of the boxes.
And with regard to this race, I mean, well, she's rated 105. Technically, they've got a bit to find with. I know it doesn't always work out like that, but technically they do.
Yeah, they do indeed. I think her consistency is a big thing as well. She likes winning, and that's important as well. So she knows where the winning post is.
What style of ride suits her best in this 8-runner field here?
Yeah, in the ideal world, she'd like them to go a good even gallop, that she can just sit in with a lead. If they go steady, it mightn't just suit her, but we leave it up to Ronan, and he knows her well at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. Great to have him here. Just touch on Simsir. I suppose I noticed in the preliminaries, I've not seen him before. I mean, he's got a fair old frame to fill. He's 4 now, isn't he? So is that why he's taken a bit of time?
Yeah, we've been very patient with him, and His Highness is always keen to give them time when they need it. But he's a beautiful horse, and I'm sure he'll repay our patience with him.
Were you happy enough with that run first up out here?
I was delighted. With him. It's a big stage to come on to for only his 4th career run, only his 2nd time ever on grass. And just when the race got going, it just took him 50, 100 yards just to hit top gear. But I was very impressed the way he finished.
Could he be campaigned over 1.5 miles out here potentially?
I'd say go 1.5 miles potentially, no problem. He just needed to get stronger in that, but he'll come on plenty for that.
Lastly, it's great to have you back. We missed you last year, but you love coming out here, don't you?
Ah, we do indeed, yeah. It's wonderful. We're treated really well, and the owners love coming. Wonderful facilities for everybody, and it's a pleasure to be back.
Wish you all the best. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
It is best turned out time, and that is Hatea. Lovely stuff. Great to see Hatea out here for this campaign from the UK, and she is adjudged best turned out. You can see a few moments ago, just giving her a nice pat down the neck, that is Susanna Stevens, who knows this filly really well. Looked after her for a good deal of time now, since she was broken, I believe, so knows her really well. And great to see Susanna here, and that is Abu Bakr who is presenting the award to the winning groom, Susanna Stevens. Thanks to Abu, well done to Susanna, and our thanks again to Albasti Equiworld. Now that is Dubai Blue. We didn't get a good look at her in the saddling area. She is very interesting because her all-weather form looks very strong. The only question mark would be whether or not she can show her worth here on turf. It's not an obvious negative based upon anything in her breeding, but I suppose you could argue that on 2 starts on the turf, albeit the first of them was over 1,200 metres and the last of them was over 2,000 metres, she perhaps hasn't been quite at her best. I mean, it was a Group 3 she was last seen in, run by a good filly in the form of Norsha, and she was probably not right there because she was well beaten. So this is perhaps her easiest engagement since her debut on the turf. For all this is a Group 2, may not quite have the depth of the other contests, and it is over perhaps a more suitable trip of 1,600 metres. She was last seen beating Hatea comfortably enough, although that was a handicap, and the other filly is better off at the weights here, so you wouldn't rule out that other filly Hatea reversing the form. But she's progressive. She's looked very good on 2 starts on synthetic surfaces at Lingfield, and she must have a very good chance here. Just touch on Magic Lily. Mention Charlie Appleby's comments before racing tonight that this filly would be a more obvious one distance-wise to go onto the Balanchine, go up in trip to the 1900. But the 1800, sorry. But she may come on for the run off 61 days off, but he did say he was happy enough with where they both were. Beyond reason, maybe considered, given her juvenile form, the better of them, and William Buick does ride, so that would lean you towards thinking that. the other filly, Beyond Reason, maybe the quicker of the two as well. But Magic Lily, Charlie said he was very happy with where she was, his daughter of New Approach, and she may well improve forward as well. Let's have a look at Nizreen as well for Hiru Shimizu. First start out here was with John Hammond in France, now retired John Hammond, of course, and Nizreen, she's 6, she's rated 104, so she's very capable. She's the second top rated in here. Perhaps her age would suggest she doesn't have the upside of some of them, but too soon to say that. This will probably be a minimum for her trip-wise, but she's been progressing nicely on recent starts. She'll go into stall number 2, just as Magic Lily backs away from 3, but goes in under James Doyle. He's looking for a second tonight. First one's in, 7 to go. Here's Craig.
Running up well, this is the running of the Cape Verde, sponsored by Creek Views. So the first few are loaded away. Pat Cosgrave and Hataya coming along. Mamora for Macau Barcelona about to come along. There's Reen to go up. Pierre Charles Badeau in town for this ride. Now surrounding about to take up position. Carolina is out the back. A couple of Godolphin runners here. Beyond Reason and Dubai Blue to go forward. Godolphin have had a stranglehold in this race. The last 5 runnings have gone their way. Very special a couple of times in 16, 17. Promising run in 18. And last year, Poetic Charm. So we're almost set. Perolina from Turkey goes into the barrier stalls. Not quite now, it's fully loaded. So they're all set. Racing in the Cape Verde. Perolina was a little bit tardy into stride. Away smartly was Magic Lily going up on the outside of Ataya early. Nizreen slicing between them, surrounding, looking to take a sit and burning around the outside. Dubai Blue, followed by Mamora, then Beyond Reason, and Perolina for Turkey goes back to the rear of the field. Zooming up on the outside, Simeon took Dubai Blue to the front as they run their way down the back, and Dubai Blue scoots out by 2. Magic Lily happy to let it cross in front, although it's still keeping a little wide on the track. Next of all is Ataya, then came surrounding. 25.37 was the lead. Nizreen in the green is down on the inside of Marmora. Then came Beyond Reason, and back at the tail is Perolina. This has gone away, Dubai Blue, as they come down the side of the track, and are led by 5 lengths over Magic Lily. Surrounding, moving up on the outside of Ataya as they go to the final 800 metres. Next of all is Marmora, the yellow silks, the outside of Nizreen. Then Beyond Reason. Next of all, as they come to the top of the straight, is Perolina. Top of the lane now, inside 600 metres to go as they straighten up, and Dubai Blue shows the way. Out by 2. Magic Lily in second, travels up on the outside. Room for Nizreen over on the fence. Surrounding, let rip, and coming through now is Beyond Reason. It's slicing through the pack as Nizreen went up on the inside, went to the lead over Magic Lily, fighting hard between them. Beyond Reason a little tight for room. Nizreen is the front runner. Perolina begins to fly down the outside. Nizreen, Magic Lily. It's Magic Lily the outside, and Nizreen fighting hard. Nizreen and Magic Lily down to the wire, tight. Maybe Nizreen a nose to Magic Lily. Very little between them. Then Beyond Reason, Perolina a good runner. Then Hataya, Mamora a gap off to surrounding, and back at the tail was Dubai Blue. Photo will be called for here. Nizreen for France and Magic Lily have had it locked together. Just initially I favoured Nizreen to get his nose down on the wire, but very hard to line them up. They're out of sync. We had one of these last week where the photo was quite clear cut when the result came through. Let's have a look at this. So it's got his nose down on the outside, Magic Lily. So it's very tight, Magic Lily and Nizreen. Beyond Reason to get third, just ahead of Perolina. The judge will have the finish links in action once again. A very close finish. So Nizreen the inside, Magic Lily the outside. Magic Lily getting that last stride in as we wait for a result here after the Cape Verde. Magic Lily gets it. Magic Lily tips out Nizreen right on the wire.
I want to finish to our feature race, the Cape Verde, sponsored by Creek Views. And Nizreen here, she's run her heart out. She's in front a way out here under Pierre-Charles Boudot. He was confident enough. Keep your eye on Beyond Reason. The door just shuts there. Didn't make a difference necessarily. Perelina is running on down the wide outside. But this is the strong challenge from Magic Lily. The further she goes, the better she gets. This is a great trial, if you like, for the Balanchine. We know she's probably best over further, but she's won here over 1600, dropping back in trip. She has won over it before. She's very lightly raced, is Magic Lily, and that is much more like it. Off the back of her run in Group 1 company 3 starts ago back in 2017. She then ran well at Saint-Cloud at the back end of last season, and then perhaps a bit disappointing when last seen, but that's it. Back over 1600 metres, get going a way out. James Doyle in the saddle under a strong drive, and she has seen it out really well. Heads up, heads down on the line. She had her head down at the right point, and Magic Lily the winner. Another one for Doyle.
No margin jeopardy. We'll put it up very shortly. 3:27 and 4. 1:34.84 is the winner's time. So 1:34.84 is the winner's time for the race.
Well done, James. Thank you.
Here she comes, here he comes, James Doyle. Well done to Charlie Appleby, and put your hands together for the winner. That is Magic Lily. Another one for James Doyle tonight. So Magic Lily the winner in a very good time, 1:34.84 you can see, which is track record time. We've seen some quick ones tonight. That is another one, and it's 2 in this for Charlie Appleby in quick succession. James Doyle rode Poetic Charm last year as well, and he's successful with Magic Lily. Many congratulations. It was a tight one. That did you think you'd won?
I didn't actually. I didn't. Head down drive. I didn't think we got back up, but she's tough, very game. Like, it didn't go entirely our way. The plan was to lead, or if not, be very close, which is what happened. But just the other Godolphin horse, when it went past me, it just set her alight, and she was a bit fresh, a little bit of time off the track, and she just over raced a little bit. But she'll definitely be better going up another furlong.
With that in mind, given you say she was over racing, were you impressed with what she showed at the finish? Yeah,
I was, because like I say, she didn't really let go, and when they fight on like that. But there is she is, we think she's a sort of 9-10 furlong filly, so at the Balanchine will be perfect for her over the 9, and yeah, she'll go close in that, I would think.
And in comparison, I suppose, to the other filly who might be that bit sharper, Charlie was saying earlier on today, albeit he's not here, that this is the filly who you would imagine going on and stepping up into a Balanchine.
Yeah, well, to be honest, on homework, the other filly's has been showing more. she was a sharper type of filly, but I guess the way things panned out today, the good pace, I was told it was a good time, and we did go end-to-end fractions, so it might have just drawn the kind of sting out of her a little bit maybe.
And just on, I mean, their time, it's a track record time, it's a fantastic time, but equally, everyone's sort of saying that it's not, for all it's quick, I know we've had rain, but there's that covering of grass which makes it very comfortable for all the runners out there.
It does, and I think you can get fooled into thinking maybe it is very quick ground, but at the end of the day, if it's too fast, the horses won't actually let themselves down. It is a beautiful surface out there today, obviously a natural bit of rainfall doesn't do the track any harm, you know, so yeah, beautiful surface, and yeah, that's what happens when track records get broken, I guess.
Well done again.
Thank you, cheers Tom.
Second track record on the turf for the evening. The other one was an equal track record. This one is outright, 1:34 and 84 for Magic Lily. And of course we had that super quick time on the dirt as well from Beauchart earlier on. So the tracks are riding in great order. 3, 2, 7 and 4. A short head, the official margin. A short head. Correct weight.
Right, time for the presentation. 3 awards to present here. A lovely performance in the end from Magic Lily on the line. It was a very tight finish and she came out on top. Another winner in this Cape Verde for Charlie Appleby. The Cape Verde sponsored by Creek Views. Please welcome to the stage to make the presentation Mr. Mewis Azizi, who is the chairman of Azizi Developments. He will be presenting those 3 awards. And first of all, on behalf of the winning owners, that is of course Team Godolphin, continuing their excellent record in the race. Please put your hands together for these 2 individuals collecting the award. They are Dr. Rod Daniel and Derek Popard. And now please put your hands together, collecting the award on behalf of Charlie Appleby. Please welcome to the stage Sophie Chrétien. And a second win in the race in 2 years for the winning rider. And another one tonight as well for James Doyle. one more time, then as they all come together, James will hang on and the rest will come in. Put your hands together for the winning connections of Magic Lily. Right, the horse is just leaving the area next to me, but let's turn our attention to number 5, who's just alongside here, and this is Beng Moon Bekdap. Thank you for Craig for his coaching with that, but good to see this horse out here, and just having a little stroke of that mane, and he's making his way towards us. He's a fair old size, this son of Tapizar, for trainer Yoon Kwang Kim, and he's beautifully turned out. Look at that, a little bit of glitter for good measure on his quarters there. And it must make him a shoe-in for B judges. Pat Cosgrave will ride, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets here off a mark of 98. So he's done well to win over 14. See how he gets on, seeing how he does that. deal, but I think to our left, number 2, one of the runners, Salim Bin Gadai, may have improved for it. The name I want to see is number 13. And I think he could well be the handicapped horse in the race. The question, look at number 6, just walking away from us. He's got form in the book. I'll be more positive about his chances. Prove with age. He's a son of Dubawi. They tend to do that. We've seen that already tonight with Beauchamp. And I like George Villiers. I just wish he was drawn a wee bit lower. But there we are. We'll see. They're heading down towards the paddock.
Now in tonight's Pick 6 competition, we've had 4 races, and unfortunately no one is left. So 4 out of 4 is 0, and 3 out of 4 is also 0. So no one in line for the major consolation in the Pick 6. So that's all done and dusted. Now the middle tricast, no winner of the middle tricast. On parade here for the running of race number 5, as we started off with the Great Collection, Doug Watson and Sam Hitchcock, the combination. Ran a terrific race here on the 19th of December, very unlucky in actual fact. It was over on the inside and got badly squeezed at about the 300 metres mark. It was down to race last week, was left out of that race, and returns here from a good barrier drawing gate number 3, the Great Collection. Horse number 2 is Ambassadorial, Jane Chapel-Hyam, and John Egan taking the ride here. Widely travelled horse, this guy. Won his first 2 races in Ireland. His last win came at Cheltenham in June of 2019. Goes pretty well fresh. His first up record is 4 starts for 2 wins and 2 placings. But of course it's had that run in the US back in November, so just a little freshen up going into this. Number 3 is Plato a Promo for Suzanne Bernaklintz and Carlos Lopez, representing Sweden. Came here last year, had 3 starts, and was pretty competitive. Fifth and 6th was his 3 runs last year, and has gone back home and has won 3 or 4 races since back in Sweden. Number 4 is Superior, Ahmed Bin Hamash and Connor Beasley. Won on debut here last season and then was put away and saved. Best effort was second to Divine Image in the Elbastakir. Was well beaten behind La Coupe Parfait in the UAE Derby. It's a highly promising horse, however, Superior. Looking forward to seeing its return to the races here tonight. Horse number 5, representing South Korea, is Beng Munbek Dap. Pat Cosgrave takes the ride here for YK Kim. Overall record is pretty good. Has come up with a horror barrier draw for his first run here. Has won from 1,200 to 2,200 metres and is a 7-time winner. Coming from the same stable, representing South Korea, is Today for YK Kim. Dane O'Neill taking the ride here. Overall record is pretty good. It's won half of its starts, 11 of 22. Another one that's won over a variety of distances back home, 1,000 to 2,000 metres. Last win came in January of 2019, over 2,000 metres. It nosed out Great King on that occasion, a horse we've also seen at the carnival. Number 7 is Yulong Warrior, Satish Seema and Richie Mullen. It's a very interesting horse back here in the UAE. Had a few starts here a couple of seasons ago. A 2-time winner in 2018, including the Elbastakir. Faded first up, but you would expect it to take plenty of benefit from that. Yulong Warrior also did spend some time in the USA. Number 8 is Red Hot Chili, Patrick Wall and Piers Anders Greyberg, the combination here. It's drawn out in gate number 12. Last win was back in July of 2019.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gulfstream Park. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps, and honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Number 9 is Akbar, Ismail Mohammed and Fabrice Ferron, the Godolphin runner. A couple of races here off a long break last year, and was fairly competitive at a second start behind Rodani. Came his first race start at Ascot back in May of 2017. Number 10 is Captain Von Trapp for Salim Bin Gadaya, Royston French, having his first run coming from in the States, two-time winner in the USA over 1,200 and 1,600 metres. Number 12 is Talento Puma, Salam bin Gadar, Macau, Barcelona, the combination here. Disappointed that it's first time out. Was well beaten behind Military Law. Two-time winner in Argentina over 1,400 metres. Number 13 is Midnight Sands, Doug Watson and Pat Dobbs, the winner of its last 3 starts here in the UAE at the end of its last campaign back in March, and a dominant winning at his first run back on the 7th of November, and then a fighting win over Gowdy here on the 5th of December. A little bit of a freshen up and looks a highly promising horse. Number 14 is Stricker, Francisco Castro and Alione Chavez. The combination here representing Sweden. Last win came in April of 2018 over 1730 metres. Third run back here tonight from a long break away from the races. Number 15 is Laeth, Fauzi Nas and Luke Morris. It's on a quick backup. Went around in the turf behind Key Victory in the last race here last week on a probably a rain-affected track by then. Finished third to Eikirk last season. Number 16 is George Villiers. Tiger O'Shea taking the ride here for Satish Seema. This will be his 4th run of the season. An impressive winner over Beauchard over 1,600 metres a couple of starts ago. And gaining a start here is number 17, Assimilation. Ed Walker is the trainer, and Antonio Freshu picking up the ride. Looks to be a nice horse. Had plenty of runs in 2019. 11 starts for 3 wins and 4 seconds. This will be his first run on the dirt, but has been racing very well since a gelding operation. So they're heading off to the start. This is the running of race number 5 of the evening.
Right, the best turned out award has gone to Red Hot Chili. Looked great, did Red Hot Chili here. A first go for nigh on 3 months. And best turned out here, well done to the winning groom, that's Farouk Ahmed. He is responsible for that horse looking so well, and he's getting a good old embrace from Jefferson and Louis. Our thanks to them for presenting the best turned out award. All smiles, gang, thanks to them, lovely stuff. And well done to the winning groom, Farouk Ahmed, and our thanks to Al Basti Equaworld. Suzanne Bernaclint alongside me has Platua Plomo here. We saw this horse last year, and you had a winner out here last year as well. I suppose that means you've come back here renewed with a nice big team this year, Suzanne.
Yeah, I bring 4 horses. It's same 3 as last year and a new one. So yeah, it's great to be back.
Just tell us with regards to back.
In this race. I would have probably picked the 9 Cat Gone Quick if the 8 Mia's Extortionist and maybe to an extent the number 2 Mr. Noisy weren't in the race. And the more I looked around, I was thinking perhaps our 10 See the Song might get a good pace to close from the outside.
Absolutely. And Marcos Meneses has had a very strong championship meet kind of quietly, and he's takes the most advantage of the live mounts that he has for sure. I think he's a good rider that maybe sometimes with this really tough jockey colony we have here kind of flies beneath the radar a little bit. But he rode this horse very well on the main track 2 starts back. That was an off the turf race. Finished a good second behind Bein' Fun. He was dropping for Scott Becker. So I think that this is actually a good spot for this horse on the drop. And I agree with you. I think that he'll sit a nice trip. As you kind of go through in here, you kind of look through horses and for me, it was finding who had some okay dirt form recently to go off of.
All right, fair enough. And dirt is really, again, where it's at. The first 4 races in this early pick 5, they are carded for the fast main track and will stay, but we'll get a longer race. We'll stay on the dirt as we stretch out from 6 to a mile with these 3-year-old 12-5 maiden claimers. And in talking about Marcos Meneses, who's quietly and for the most part year-round rides under the radar, but is a very good long shot rider. Things and his usual role at not having the bullseye at his back, that may change to a large extent in this upcoming low-level 3-year-old maiden claimer because of the speed and the drop down with his horse, the 3, Bundy. We like Marcos to sweep the early double.
Yeah, we do. And he's had a couple of multi-win days over the last few weeks for sure. And Bundy, who I know you liked last time, it seemed like a good pick as well, but dropping back down, kind of going back to the drawing board. And so I respect you're not going to miss second time out. Sometimes that always seems to be when you jump off, right? The horse comes back to win. But first time gelding now, and this one will be a much shorter price than he has been in his first 2 races so far. But I think he really meets the right field. Magnolia Boulevard to the rail is 8 to 1 on the morning line, but I would imagine he'll probably be the second one that's taking the most attention in this field, just based off of that okay race at Tampa last time out. And Mike Denny has only had one other starter here, but certainly does a good job.
Very good trainer, and you've got Louis Saez riding this horse in from northern Florida out on the West Coast. Louis, by the way, second in the standings with 44 wins, and that horse way early on is taking money in the early doubles. When we move on to the third, we are way up in class, and kind of a neat twist here as we get to stretch out a non-off-the-turf main track race here in a mile and a 16th. First finish line with these older filly and mare, 2 other than high-priced allowance optional claimers, and man, it is hard to argue. There's a couple of different key layers to this race, but I mean, first and foremost is the presence of just the 3 Cuddle Kitten with her speed, and boy, second half of 2019, was she not a breakout star for Jorge Navarro?
She was really impressive. Her 4-race win streak was broken when she came off of a bit of a layoff and finished actually a very good third in the Claiming Crown Glass Slipper, which was a really tough field. I think Liza Starr, a very solid horse. She was actually the favorite that day, Cuddle Kitten. So we have Irad Ortiz picking up the mount today, and she's going to try now second off the bench and back into what seems to be a logical spot, though she ran very well in the Claiming Crown.
And Safi's got another. You've got that again as he's in the mix here on the rail with the 1 Queen Nakia off the claim. A big bump in class, but maybe a prescient claim with a horse who's out of town form, both with her ability and at the level she was racing at throughout the Mid-Atlantic in the summer. She kept some okay company and some decent form. Maybe Safi bid at the right time out of a dominant odds-on victory. And the one thing with Safi, and she's had about 40 days to get acclimated to his barn and maybe a different training regimen and all that different stuff, all those variables that change when you move from one barn to another. I like the fact that, again, she's had almost 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks to just really get in step perhaps with the barn that is doing so well.
It's been amazing just to see the run that the barn's been on, really. And it is a step up in class, but I really don't have a problem with that. She won by 6 lengths last time out, so it looks like a step up in class is warranted. And the wild card perhaps is the 2 Nikki Beach coming in for Ben Colebrook, and talk about a layoff. She hasn't run since mid-November, and she's faced solid company as well, not in for the tag, and she has competitive numbers in here, so we'll see how sharp she is today.
Definitely speed in a compact field as well with the number 3 Cuddle Kitten, as we have another Safi and Jorge Navarro matchup in this upcoming 4th race. In fact, Safi's horse in the 5, Drakari's Fire, claimed out of a well bet and I guess fairly even debut, first time out here, opening day, in fact, on that November 29th card. Now, he'll go off the claim for Safi, and what do you like about this horse coming back from Navarro to Safi?
Well, we've seen this happen a lot, that it go from the Navarro barn to Safi's barn and vice versa. They like to claim off of each other, and this one gets a little bit more distance. And I did see a workout recently, courtesy of XBTV, training for Safi Joseph Jr. And this is one thing that I think we don't get a chance sometimes to see enough of, is that these horses for this barn train really, really well too. And it looks like this one is no exception. It comes out of a race with Uncaptured King coming back to win.
You know, Uncaptured King has been very good for Henry Collazo, and that breeze, again, pretty sharp back on the morning of January 5th, going that 5/8 in a minute and change with this Colt by Japan, who evidently is named after a Game of Thrones dragon. He's down inside.
I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. So.
I've seen about 2.5, and my wife's a big fan of the books. But I feel the same way. Again, pop culture with Game of Thrones. I'm out of the loop there, but kind of funny. You do have a barn, if you'll excuse the pun, is breathing fire. Yeah. You've also got the Navarro horse and Romario in the race, who's coming in from Kentucky off a trainer change, and my top pick, the 4. Causalistic, who, in a way, it's a little bit of a head-scratcher that this horse has almost not been shoehorned in, but that he's had so many chances in turf races, considering his 2 dirt races to start his career, which coincidentally were both rained off the turf here in the summer, were respectable efforts. And boy, you talk about just not timing it all that well, per se, or not having fortuitous timing on your side in some of those special weight fields. Premier Star, Caracaro, King Guillermo, Graceful Kitten, Kokomo. He's run against some really good horses.
Yeah, he certainly has. And the drop is needed for sure, but I'm curious. I just don't know what we're going to get from him. I agree. His first 2 races rained off of the turf were very good, and he's going to have to prove himself in here today. It's certainly an easier dirt field than he met with Premier Star. That's absolutely no question. But what are we going to get from him? Will he take a step forward today?
Well, we've got some beginnings waiting for us. We hit the turf. We have that $3 million guaranteed Rainbow Six, and a lot more coming up after this.
Racing history.
So a long list, a lineage in the short history of the Pegasus, some A-list celebrities and talent. Snoop Dogg gets a bunch of cameos in that commercial we've been running, which is pretty cool. We've got Nelly, we've got T-Pain, and of course, quite a few stakes to go around here in about a week and a half time on that Saturday, January 25th. Now, before then, Sunshine Million Saturday, a 10-race Friday card that is a clad Acacia with a couple of races, at least locally, in the Stronach 5.
Yeah, absolutely. This should be very interesting. interesting. We've got the return of Hidden Scroll, who was really well touted last year for trainer Bill Mott, or last championship meet, I should say, who did debut on the Pegasus undercard. The return of Sniper Shot as well for Todd Pletcher. So it should be a very interesting Friday afternoon.
Yeah, beat the expert as well. I am in the hot seat, as we say. You can sign up and play for free over at GulfstreamPark.com. We've also, of course, got the Rainbow Six, a $3 million guarantee. What are you doing?
That's right, 4320 for me today, the Ron Nicoletti magic number. As we look at my ticket, if we could bring that up, I did end up using 3 horses in the first leg here, which I think is probably the best race on the card, or the one I'm looking forward to the most. You've got some interesting maidens, a couple of drop-down runners, some nicely bred horses that should make it very intriguing. 2 deep in the 6th race, and a little bit later on, I like maybe She's Right again in race 7 for a bit of a price, and good to see Miguel Vasquez back riding here in South Florida as well.
Definitely. So race 5, starting point 468 for Acacia. I'm going 458 myself in this race, but gave extra consideration, even top pick status, to the number 4 Dermot, who I like Brendan Walsh a lot. He's the trainer. I've got Tyler Gaffleone, and just a logical looking second time starting drop down who may have found a slightly longer race at a mile and a furlong over rain softened turf, just a little too much at a big price in his debut shortly before Thanksgiving in Kentucky. We've got Barkley Tag with the 8, Hale, Michigan, taking a little bit of a dip, and you're taking the 6, Bebo. Is this a little bit of a speed play for you?
It absolutely is. I know that New Year has some speed as well, but even though he ran so well last year, I don't know if he's quite as good as some of the horses that he faces today. Bebo, last time out off the turf, I had actually liked him a bit that day. He goes back to the grass, and I think the 32,000 is a well-spotted spot for him with Luis Saez up.
Let's move on to race number 6. We start our run from the half-mile pole on this fast and firm and very main track heavy Thursday, January 16th here at Gulfstream Park. I am standing alone in race number 9, maybe a gutsy single because it is not a one-horse affair. I do prefer, obviously, the number 5 Global Ambition with her pedigree and the presence of Michael Matz and the fact that I believe she is very much a developing, maturing 3-year-old filly, and the best is yet to come, hopefully today, off a promising 2-year-old campaign. Lavi in that race and the 4 Dream Marie are the 2 toughest competitors on paper, but I still like the spot I'm in, and I just preferred to stand alone with her, and that afforded me a little bit of wiggle room because I'll tell you, Acacia, my initial reaction in putting this ticket in off memory, which is not always a good thing to have or a good plan of attack, was I felt as though the Clement filly in the 10th race today, rather, was unbeatable. But going back and looking, you've got a second-time starting number 9 horse for trainer Mike Maker, who is probably going to improve with Luis Saez in the 9 Kitten by the Sea.
Yep.
So I'd rather single in the 9th. I'm using the 2 logicals in the 10th. That looks like a 2-horse race till the cows come home. And I am 2 deep to start in race number 6. Now, this was a Thursday card up through this point. As far as early scratches, they're scarce, which is always a good thing. However, this race, a very impactful, notable exception to the rule is the number 7 Northern, whose absence is going to be felt, and maybe that moves up the 4 Mr. Kisses from a speed standpoint. In the end, I still like the 8 Color Me Pom Pom in the trip. He's likely to pull here from the outside, just maybe first or second over in the clear.
Yeah, and I probably sent that in wrong. It should be 8-6-4-3 for me. I did have drop kick second to Northern, but I elevated Color Me Pom Pom as without Northern in there. He's going to be my top pick because I just think that he's going to get a good trip. My concerns going into this for Color Me Pom Pom were for any horse to make it 3 in a row can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but his last couple of races have been so strong, and he was going to have Northern up front, maybe pressuring him a little bit, or maybe he was going to have to sit off the flank. Now he has a little bit more breathing room, I would say. There is still speed with Mr. Kisses and Stolen Identity, but this horse, Color Me Pom Pom, really should just trip out. That being said, I do think that drop kick is a little bit of a sneaky in here, but he'll be running late.
Yeah, he's going to need a little help. Don't know, again, if he gets it, unless Stolen Identity in a way, and he'll be a price in this spot. He might be he might be the linchpin to all this stuff because he does have the speed to go after the 4 Mr. Kisses, and that might enable even Color Me Pom Pom to run a little faster early. So, again, Sylvia Zapico will ride Stolen Identity, and his presence could be a thorn in the side there to Mr. Kisses for sure. We move on to the 7th. We've got 8 ready to rumble here, Keisha. A couple of turf races remain, and this is one of them as we have these older filly and mare $30,000 to $25,000 claimers. And I think first and foremost, you've got a major 3-horse showdown off a race here about a week before Christmas on December 19th concerning Scatnap, who got a good ride, Pugilist from the outside, who had a good trip and just came up empty, and clearly you're thinking the 2 She's Right Again, who chased a 50 to 1 shot early, might be able to turn the tables on those two.
My thoughts exactly, and we can show that race. This was back on December 19th, and just highlighted Scatnap as probably in this particular race, Scatnap did run the best. But as you said, She's Right Again was chasing the speed, just never really had a breather at all that day, and ended up fading a little bit. But I do think that She's Right Again should have an easier time this time around, and Scatnap there, the number 1, who always does wear that extension blinker, fully covering her right outside eye. So that's a normal for her as well, if you're noticing that. And Pugilist, I did think ran okay, kind of packed it in a little bit, and that's why I ended up with some others in here.
Now, Peter Walder, not the only horse he will run today, the 2 She's Right Again, as that barn is back in the mix. We'll turn the page. We'll move up to race number 8 before we bring on Pete Aiello for a very abbreviated Thursday scratch session there. But we've got $8,000 to $7,000 older claimers, and I'm going right back to Peter Walder. You like him in the race prior. I'm taking a shot here with the 5 Karen's Cove. Now, this race does have quite a bit of depth to it as far as horses that either were in recent form or are currently pretty sharp. So it's not an easy lower-level claimer by any stretch, but this is me having faith not only in Peter Walder potentially moving up this gelding off the claim. I think, and it may not happen every time with Luch, but he's made some kind of odd claims at the time. You go, well, why is he claiming this horse? Liza Star comes to mind. I think she paid about $20 the day he claimed her, and she's been a win machine since. I'm not saying this horse will be the next coming of Liza Star, but I respect the connections, and I'm just going to try to follow their move here.
It's an incredibly valid point, and this barn does really well claiming and spotting horses in the right place off the claim, which is half the battle, and sometimes even more than half. I think that this race kind of revolves around the 2 Blings Express. Very fast, a gelding that used to just kind of be, when you saw him in the entries, he was immediately your go-to pick, if not single. But his last few races off of the layoff, the ones in 2019, just haven't quite been as sharp as the Blings Express of old. He's 11 now. He's clearly still competitive. He's running well. But what are we going to get from him today? There also does seem to be a fair amount of speed in here, and both your top pick and my top pick, I think, will be running late. I thought Dr. Harlan, who had a really strong race last time out at 7 furlongs, he might get a nice trip to close into.
Could as well. Same with the 4 Swagger. Now, Swagger is one of those horses that may just cause an inferno towards the front of the pack. That horse is fast, along with the 6 Charge Card and Blings Express not far behind. I'll say Georgina Baxter, you think the Paney Prices, and she's got a few other horses in her barn here at Gulfstream Park that are up there, 8, 9, 10 years old, and 11-year-old like Blings Express. I mean, her work with these older geldings is absolutely uncanny.
It really is, and just seeing how they, even with some layoffs, they're handled carefully, handled right, they come back, they're sharp, and they clearly are able to still perform at a high level.
And he's going to need it today, hard-hitting field in that 8th race. As we, again, flip the page, we move on to race number 9 coming up on the opening leg of Thursday's Fast and Firm Late Double. 3-year-old fillies at our final trip over the main track this afternoon, and you and I both taking the 5 Global Ambition, which may ultimately turn out to be a race where they bet Lavi, who's by Orb out of a Smart Strike Dam, and she's stake-faced, and she'll try a little more ground, and she's going to try to go long this afternoon for Emmy Gaffney. You've got the 4 Dreamery for Matt Williams and Richard Mitchell, who's been amazing on the dirt with 2 solid races and fast wins. You've got Global Ambition, who's got the pedigree and seems to be just heading in the right direction, and then Good to Me on the outside, who's the unknown with good form, obviously, up in Canada.
Yeah, if you look at this race on paper, just everything aside, you would immediately look at Dreamery and say her last 2 races have been so good. And as we just roll her last one from December 14th, it was kind of looking at her win 2 starts back. She can't repeat that. And then she did. And it was so impressive the way that she did it. She's won by open lengths in her last couple and was flattered when We Miss Susie came back to win nicely the next time out. Now, do I think that she's going to get the job done today? She's going to really have to try and run probably your best race yet, because I do think that there are a couple of others in here. I agree with you. I think Global Ambition is a horse moving in the right way. She got Lasix last time out, finished second against a really tough field at Laurel. Good to me, I think, is the wild card. But hey, Dream Marie, no knocks in her last 2 races.
No, and she's finally, I did not pick her, nor did you, at least as far as the win end goes. Today, she's finally going to get a little bit of respect after winning at 17-1 in that race last time out at 13-1. Now, maybe We Miss Susie was just better and is better going a little shorter, because she was turning back significantly here on Sunday. But as a whole, I think her performance moves up Dreamery even more, and I've got her second. Good to me, though. Unbeaten in 2 starts, really untested in 2 starts for a trainer, and Julia Carey, who has not run a horse here. She's run 1 this meet, but prior to that was a familiar face with a limited barn down here in 2015 through 2017. So I'm curious to see what she can do.
Yeah, she does a great job. She's a 20% trainer, primarily based up at Woodbine, and so we're happy to have her here. And she claimed this horse off of Mark Cassie, who's been really impressive in her first 2.
All right, Christian from the outside, and we'll wrap things up. The outside race looking in perhaps the 10th this afternoon, an older filly mare, $25,000 to $20,000 claimer, where you've got, even in a lower level or close to a low level maiden claimer, you've got really, as far as contemporary status goes, I mean, two masters of the turf here, which I like, and Christophe Comont with the 5 Weekend Madness, knocking heads with the 9 Kitten by the Sea for Mike Maker, and it looks like they are here, and probably everybody else, at least on paper, is over here somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I know we sometimes see the last race as maybe an opportunity for some long shots, and I don't know if that's going to be the case today. I think it's these 2 to the end of the day. Kitten by the Sea took a ton of money in her first start, which I remember looking up at the board and being shocked that she was such a short price.
Like 3 to 5 short when we were on the air.
When we opened, she took a lot of money. And she just, I think, the drop looks warranted. Second time out is going to take a step forward. Weekend Madness off a bit of a layoff. Another one taking a step drop in class, but she faced some really nice horses. A couple of next out winners in her last race at Belmont, and I think that she probably has the class for the company that she's faced.
And she'll have Tyler Gaffleone, who we are working, and we're excited about our Pegasus preview show, which will air, and we'll have all the times and that stuff for you a bit later on, but it'll air next week, obviously leading up to the big day on Fox Sports Sun. And Tyler and Ron Nicoletti got acquainted, took a little trip around, talked about Tyler's upbringing here in Florida. That's going to be a great piece once it's edited down and finished.
Yeah, we're excited about that shot this morning, and we love being able to highlight somebody born and raised in South Florida who's now been really successful on the biggest stages.
And you could, in a way, be referring to Pete Aiello, who's another Florida-born boy around here, who's very proud of the gig that he's got. He's the voice of Gulfstream, and he's coming up next with a very short list of those Thursday scratches and changes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a spectacular Thursday afternoon of world-class thoroughbred action live in Hallandale Beach, Florida at Gulfstream Park. 10 races on the card here this afternoon with carryovers in the Super High Five and the Rainbow Six, and a guarantee in that Rainbow Six of $3 million. Hello again, everyone. Track announcer Pete Aiello joining you from the Gulfstream Park studios. We're 26 minutes out from our opening contest. Another beautiful day in South Florida. The track is fast. The turf is firm. Without any further ado, let's get you caught up on all of today's program changes and corrections. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome the folks joining us via the simulcast network from sites all across North America and all across the world, taking the Gulfstream signal this afternoon. The weather in South Florida, partly cloudy conditions with temperatures in the upper 70s. The track is fast, the turf is firm. Here now are the changes for today's races. First race, the first half of the early daily double, the start of the 50-cent early pick 5. A field of 10 at 6 furlongs. There are no changes. Turn to the second race, a 1-mile trip over the fast main track. There are no changes. In the third race, at a mile and a 16th to the first finish line, there are no changes. Fourth race, a 1-mile maiden claiming event with a field of 7. There are no changes. Race number 5 kicks off the Rainbow Six. In the fifth race, number 1, Lion Charmer, a change of jockey. Make the jockey Jose Ortiz. Jose Ortiz rides the 1, Lion Charmer. In race 5, the start of a $3 million Rainbow Six. Go to race number 6 and start the late pick 5. In race number 6, scratch number 7, Northern. 7 Northern withdrawn from race 6. Seventh race and the start of the late pick 4, scratch number 5, Much About It. Number 5, Much About It, withdrawn from race 7. Eighth race, the start of the late pick 3, a field of 9 at 6 furlongs. There are no changes. Ninth race, first half of the late daily double. Allowance horses at a 1-mile trip. Field of 6, there are no changes. In the 10th and final race on turf at a mile and a 16th, a field of 9 go postward, and there are no program changes. With today's 10-race format, your 20-cent Rainbow Six begins with race number 5 today. There's a guarantee in the jackpot pool of the Rainbow Six of $3 million. As an added bonus, the Super High Five is a carryover of more than $2,000. Super High Five opportunity with a wide-open first race. Just 23 minutes now to first race post time. Wagering windows, they're open on all levels. As always, we invite you to make your wagers early to avoid being shut out. We're certainly glad to have you with us. We hope you have an enjoyable afternoon at the races, and good luck today.
Racing history.
It's time. Be the first to get in the game with Gulfstream Park's Early Pick 5. Bet on the first 5 races each day at Gulfstream Park with a low 50-cent wager. It features a 15% takeout and never carries over. Don't miss out and play Gulfstream Park's Early Pick 5.
Good afternoon. Welcome to OTB Live on a Thursday afternoon. Took me a second there to remember what day of the week it was. We are looking at January 16th. We're also looking at Laurel, Gulfstream, some fairgrounds coming up. We have some Monticello perhaps in the mix as well. So all of that coming up here on your Thursday afternoon. We'll kick things off, however, with a little Laurel. They're heading to the gate. The opener at Laurel for me, 3, 4, 6, and 2. Margie's Band. I could have gone either way. Margie's Band or Laurel Lady. Laurel Lady last time, the number went backwards a little bit. But the back numbers are pretty good. Now, the best numbers are on the turf, but the number 2 back was okay. It was better than we saw. Just overall, Margie's Band, though, had the better numbers. So I tilted in that direction, but I could make the case for Laurel Lady. Pigeon Creek, again, on a better number. This one could be in the mix as well. And Thirsty, again, actually finished ahead of Laurel Lady last time. Just overall, the numbers are maybe a little bit lighter. But there are some okay numbers underneath. But on the consistent numbers, probably Margie's Band. So again, at Laurel, 3, 4, 6, and 2. Gulfstream will give you a head start on their opener. They're about 10 minutes away from, less 7 minutes away from that one. I have Gulfstream's opener 2, 8, 7, and 9. I put Mr. Noisy on top on some class relief, but there is a surface switch. It's just a weak field where you're looking for a little bit of something. Mia's Extortionist has only been on the synthetic at Woodbine, so there's a question mark there. Really the same for Capitan Fofo, whose better races are either turf or off the turf events where the track may have been a little bit different. So again, admittedly, this Gulfstream opener is a little bit of a head scratcher. I have a 2, 8, 7, and 9. All right, they're about to launch and kick things off for us on this Thursday edition of OTB Live at Laurel. We'll see how it plays out in a few. Stay tuned.
Outside of big odds, and early leader now is Super Holy Juno. Just in front from Margie's Band in second, and Laurel Lady back in third position in a gap of 3. Sergio's Panchita is next, then Fancy Girl. Pigeon Creek is going to be the one widest of them all, and Thirsty again caught up between horses, back of the pack there as well. Only about 5 lengths first to last. Super Holy Juno and Margie's Band coming through on the inside now to put a gray head in front. Margie's Band opening a quarter. Went up there in 24.77, heading into the far turn run. So it is Super